Next on the agenda is public participation.
No motions were made.
Recording in
No,
progress.
no motions were made, no votes were taken, any executive session.
Perfect.
I think you need a vote to come out of the
No, we don't.
session. You don't?
No, we don't.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
All right. So we're now on the agenda is public participation. Please come up to the podium and say who you are and give us your address. Thank you.
Catherine Camera, 31 Cottage Place in Oakville. You know, I know you guys are all sitting up there, you don't get to see yourselves, but I do. And there happens to be a member that never lifts their head up through the whole meeting and acknowledges when people are talking, and I think that's really rude. I'd love to see them participate with us a little bit more. I did also, I'm a little bit confused tonight, so it looks like Richard Antonetti is participating, but he's not acting as the chairman, and I thought usually you vote if, or something gets appointed because people get appointed if they're going to fill in other seats, so I'm a little confused on that. And you also said that the entire council was going into executive session. I don't know if he was participating, because it was hard to tell. It looked like he wasn't, so I just wanted to clarify that we're not clear on if everybody participated in your executive session or not, as far as the commission. And so I guess you're not going to answer me, which that's fine. So the other question I have is that the meeting, your agenda says that it's not virtual. It's not a virtual meeting, but I don't know what Mr. Antonetti's doing, if he's participating or not, virtually or not, and the public can't. So it's a little unclear what's happening with your meetings in that regard.
Okay,
Thank you.
Noted, thank you. Anybody else from the public? Is anybody else from the public? Okay. Now we come to the
You need to make a motion.
acceptance of the minutes. All right?
No.
No.
I'm going to add to the agenda.
Oh, I was going to do that under new business.
No.
Right.
Right after public participation.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Through the chair, I would like to add to the agenda a motion under new business, adding agenda number 9.1, consider vacating this decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission dated August 4th, 2021 concerning the Sealy Oakville Center Plan Development District at the request of the applicants.
Do I have a motion to add this to the agenda?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. I have an applicant's application in front of me to consent to the withdrawal and termination of the Planning and Zoning Commission approval of the Sealy Oakville PPD Plan Development District, which we approved on August 4th, 2021, subject to the appeal pending in the Waterbury Superior Court. It's signed by Attorney Franklin Pillacy. I'd like to make it part of the record. All right. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the vacation of the...
No, we're going to do that when we get down here.
Okay, all right. We add to the agenda under 9.1, all right. All right, so we need a motion for the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting on September 7th, 2022, and the regular meeting of October 5th, 2022.
So moved.
Okay. I'm going to move the staff report.
No, wait, I got a second.
All right. Okay.
I second the motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved, the motion carries. Going to move the staff report to the bottom of the agenda, make it item number, 16, all right? And move everything else around to accommodate that at the end of the meeting. All right. Chairman's report, there is no report to have tonight for the chairman, all right? Now we go on to new business. Item 9.1 is adding to the agenda the motion to, the approval of the decision to terminate or vacate the Sealy. Sorry. Make your motion.
Hold on a second. Okay. I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission vacate its decision dated August 4th, 2021 concerning the Sealy Oakville Center Plan Development District at the request of the applicant.
Do I hear a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Okay. All right, now, we have, the next item on the agenda is the acceptance of a petition to amend the zoning regulations, Section 2, definitions to add planned development district submitted by Attorney Franklin Pillacy. Attorney Pillacy?
Items under 9A, B, and C have been submitted, and I would request that they be accepted and a public hearing be scheduled.
Okay. Our next public hearing could be on December 7th.
Do we, excuse me, Chair?
Yes.
Do we make a decision on that under the articles?
Okay,
on
I'll
the
do that,
agenda?
all right.
I mean, that's what we
Yeah, that's,
normally do.
I'll do that. Oh, that's fine, all right. Fine, we accept it, we'll get to that, and we'll make a motion on that a little bit later in the agenda.
All right, so you're not going to set the public hearing now, but you'll do it.
We will be setting it tonight,
Okay, thank you.
okay? The next item is site plan application for development of 146 and 172 Frostbridge Road. That's going to be tabled because there's a new map that's going to be submitted by the applicant. Is that correct, Mark?
Mr. Chairman, due to, so as you know, the text amendment and zone change were approved recently for this particular site and district. Because of contractual obligations, the applicant needed to submit the site plan application tonight. They are not here. They do not expect to have any review because of the lateness of bringing the application in. So I ask that you table until the December meeting.
Okay, do I hear a motion to table this?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's tabled. Okay. The next item is the meeting dates for planning and zoning for the calendar year.
We're about to continue public hearing for a lot.
Four-lot subdivision.
No, it's not on the next thing on the agenda is the meeting. Right there.
Oh, jeez, okay.
Okay?
Gotcha.
Carol, do you have proposed meeting dates for the Planning and Zoning Commissioner for the year 2023?
Yes, you all got them in your packet, but I can find them here if you don't.
They're all the first Wednesday of the month? They're all the first Monday of the month? All right, okay, so, all right.
And, Mr. Chairman, if I may, in typical fashion, we've kept the July meeting, or canceled the July meeting as per usual, as per the policy of the commission, at least in the past.
Okay, that's, works for me. All right. Should we make a motion to accept these dates? Do I hear a motion to accept these dates for?
So moved.
Second, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we've accepted these dates. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. All right, the next matter is Cherry Hill Construction, Frostbridge Road Associate. Okay, I'm going to add to the agenda right now, in addition to the forfeiture of bond, we're going to also add a notice of violation. Apparently, at this point, there has been no easement granted, and although it's been requested by the town attorney. So when we set this public hearing, we're going to include the notice of the violation as well as the forfeiture of the bond as part of the public hearing notice, all right? And then we'll notify the applicant on that, right? And we're going to set a public hearing on that when we go to further in the agenda. Okay, so that's amended to add a notice of violation. Okay, all right, we're ready. All right, we have, number 10 on the agenda is continued public hearings. We have a 4-lot subdivision proposal, Lake Winnemog Road and Sperry Road, Watertown, submitted by Divesta Engineering for Steiner, Inc. That's currently in wetlands, so we need a motion to table that, so we get,
Sure.
go ahead, Mark.
Mr. Chairman, on the previous item, I heard
Okay,
a motion, but maybe not a complete motion or not a vote to add.
We could go a complete motion if we want to amend the agenda. Do I hear a motion to amend the agenda to add notice of violation to Cherry Hill Construction, Inc.?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And then maybe a motion to actually submit issue the notice of violation.
I don't quite understand that. What's that?
A motion to issue a notice of violation.
Oh, of course, yes. To issue a notice of violation and set the public hearing for both that and the forfeiture of the bond. Yes, that's amended. We'll amend the motion to say that, okay? That better for you?
Okay.
We'll amend the motion. Okay, so do I hear a motion to amend the prior motion to add to the notice of violation the, what?
Issuance.
Issuance of a notice of violation.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. The amended motion carries. All right. All right. This one was tabled. So we have to, now it's time to set new public hearings. We have to set a public hearing for,
I'm sorry, you started to do the tabling of number 9, the continued public hearing. We don't have a motion. You started to do it and we got sidetracked. So you need a motion to table the Lake Winnemog application, the continued public hearing.
I thought we did that.
You started to, but no one made the motion.
All right, okay. So do I hear a motion to table the 10A, not number 9, 10A, the 4-lot subdivision, Lake Winnemog Road and Sperry Road?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to table carries. Item number 11 on the agenda. Okay. Time the date, set a date for the public hearing for item number 9 under new business, A, B, and C, all relating to the petition to amend the zoning regulations, Section 2, definitions to add planned development district submitted by Attorney Franklin Pillacy. B, the petition to amend the zoning regulations, Section 34.14, drive-through facility submitted by Attorney Franklin Pillacy. And C, petition to amend the zoning regulations to establish the Sealy Oakville Center Plan Development District submitted by Attorney Franklin Pillacy. Do I hear a motion? And I would suggest that we set this public hearing for December 7th. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. The motion carries to set the public hearing and the advertisement on this for December the 7th, 2022. All right. Let's see what else we have here. We have item number 9F, and we have to set a date for the public hearing for Cherry Hill Construction, both the notice of violation and the forfeiture of bond for Bridge Associates LLC and Cherry Hill Construction. I would like to set that public hearing for December the 7th again. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, this motion carries. The public hearing for that is going to be December the 7th. All right? All right. We've set all the public hearings. We're moving on to old businesses. I don't see anything on the agenda for any old business. Carol?
No, we have informal discussion. We have Erin Pollack here to talk to you about what he would like to do.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Erin, come on up.
Good evening.
Right.
My name is Benjamin, my son-in-law, Aaron Paul.
And can you sit down, sir, turn on your mics, please, and speak into them? Thank you.
I and my son-in-law, we like to open a restaurant to change the zoning
Next to Starbucks.
next to Starbucks, the land.
Okay.
And if it's possible, you know, to do
I'm sorry, you
restaurant.
have to sit closer here, I'm sorry.
Next to Starbucks, I'm not 100% sure for the address. New Starbucks, next to Starbucks, there is a land, piece of land. We want to buy and we want to build a restaurant, Mediterranean cuisine. So if it's possible, you know, I can build a restaurant. So before we go ahead, we want to know if it's possible.
Feel the commission out. Right? You want to, how big a lot is it?
0.6 acre,
A little bit over an acre, half an acre.
yeah.
Which is 24,000 square feet?
I believe 32,000 square feet.
32,000 square feet?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. How many, what size is the parking lot? I mean, this is kind of vague,
Well,
sir.
we don't know that. We don't know anything about it.
Right, right. Okay.
We need some kind of approval from the town, approval. Then we're gonna look into it, how big of a land is, because there's some rocks there behind too, so we don't know exactly how clear the land is to build a restaurant. But we need approval from the town first, the commission. Can we build the restaurant? And after that, we'll see what the parking space is gonna be, how big of the restaurant can we make?
Question for Mark. What's the current regulations call for in terms of a size of a lot in order to have a restaurant use and what zone that would be in? If you don't know, it's okay. You don't have to.
I don't, but if I may, there's a challenge here, and we talked about it, I think, a little bit at the last meeting. So this is located in the BO zone. Stepping backward a sec, if you remember, and this happened when I first came on to the town 6 years ago, the Starbucks was also in the BO zone, and that was changed to a BG zone. There was a lot of controversy, obviously, about that change. So the BO zone in that area is, I think, limited to two parcels. And as somebody pointed out last time, the adjacent parcel looks like it's under development to rehab the residential use of it. So that leaves only that one parcel in that particular aspect of the BO zone. To change the zoning there would be very much akin to spot zoning, because it's the only parcel, presuming that the adjacent parcel would want to stay residential, and I'm conjecturing at this point, because it looks like it's being redeveloped. So the other option would be to make a text amendment that would allow restaurants in the BO zone in a general fashion across the board. And as I'm fond of saying, when applicants have a particular property in mind when they ask for a zone change, but the town, of course, and the commission has to look at the impact of allowing, in this case, restaurants in the BO zone across the board. And that would include the section of BO that generally incorporates the historic center, the historic center of Watertown. So, I mean, that's a decision and a review that the commission would need to take on in order to fulfill, you know, the wish.
Okay. All right, thank you. It's a good answer. That would just also be adjacent to pertinent to an existing residential use, right?
Yes, it's surrounded, and that was the controversy
Commercial
with the
use
Starbucks.
and- Yeah, it'd be right, it'd be sandwiched between a residential use and a commercial use, right? And, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kenny, you got a
Through,
question.
through the chair, I'm very familiar with the land that they're talking about. Are you looking to buy one piece or two? Because there's two separate pieces there. One is very narrow and long, and then the other one is on Main Street. They're both on Main Street, but one is very narrow and long, a lot of rocks. And then there's one to the right of that that's a pretty decent, flat, separate piece, two different owners. Are you
Well-
looking at just the one next to Starbucks?
Well, we
Yes.
don't know. As of now, we know just the one next to Starbucks.
Yeah.
It's about 280 long by 110 wide.
Right,
I don't know about the other parcel.
yeah.
Are these same person sells it, or?
No, two different people own it. You might want to look into that.
Say it again?
You might want to look into that other
Yes,
piece.
definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question through the chair for Mark, actually. Mark, is there a requirement for restaurants on how many square feet per people sitting? Let me rephrase that. Is there a parking requirement for how many people are allowed in a restaurant and square footage that they would need to accommodate that? Like if a restaurant had 20 seats, how many parking spots would they need? And how much of a square foot building would they have to,
The short answer is yes. There are parking requirements. They are based on, I believe it's on patron area. And I believe might be one space per 200 square feet of patron area, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but the short answer is yes, there are, the parking requirements are based on the square footage.
and the square footage, or how many seats or tables, or both?
So
I think I've seen both.
I think it's actually, what you said initially, it's per square foot of patron area, it does have nothing to do with seats. It's per square foot, so many parking places per square foot of patron area, and the reason I know that is because we did that with Uncommon.
Do you know how much?
I don't know,
Okay.
it's extensive, it's a lot of parking, it's more than office,
Okay.
it's,
The reason why I was asking is maybe that's a guide for you guys to say, if you want, 20 seats, you need X amount of parking spaces, and then maybe you could do the calculation to see what size building you could get. So there is a formula somehow that you need to figure out how many seats you want to get, or space for tables, and maybe you get an idea on how big of a restaurant you could put there.
I'm looking around like 1,700 to 2,000 square feet restaurant. And I believe there is enough parking. And, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yep, I was just trying to give you some guidelines, so
Yeah.
maybe you have an idea how to make a better decision.
so actually what I would probably do if I was in your shoes, I would draw out the square footage that you would be looking at. We also have setbacks from the boundary lines of the property, from the main road and also the outside property. You'd have to also talk to Mark and find out exactly how many parking places you need per your square foot building and see if it's gonna work. I mean, because if it's gonna require, 30 parking places and it takes up 3/4 of your lot, you're not gonna have a size for a building, and if you gotta consider the setbacks. So you have a little homework to do. Mark he's a very nice man. He'll sit down with you
Of course.
and discuss all this.
Ken, who sells the other part? You don't know?
There's a sign up, they're doing construction on that other lot,
That's a house in the back.
the house in the back.
I mean, it's public records in the town, so if you go to the assessor's office, you can find out who owns that.
I see. So now, we need to see,
I would suggest that Jack McHugh's comment, Commissioner McHugh's comment was very well taken. I think that you should do at least something, put something on a piece of paper and figure out what you've got, and then, be more specific, and then see if it's possibly viable, if possibly doable, okay? Before you ask us to change it, okay? To look at anything, okay?
makes
Fair
sense?
enough?
Fair enough.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very
so
much,
much.
all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just another note. I had mentioned to Mr. Polat that they should look at the topography and feasibility of developing that site.
Right, the cost of
Because
excavation.
look at what Starbucks went through
Yeah.
in terms of the site work.
Right.
And I would expect that rock would continue in a northerly direction through the site to a degree.
I think that's also important. Sometimes these sites, just because it has the square footage, you may have blasting, you may have a lot of excavation, you may have a huge amount of site work, which may knock your budget out, So you need to look at all those things and make prior to, you must have a friend who could maybe help you put this together, okay?
No, we can do that, but
Okay.
first, we didn't know with the town first, are the towns gonna allow us to build something there or
Right,
not?
right,
Then
right,
we
right.
thought we gotta go
Well, we-
make a decision about the size of it.
I'm sure this commission, if it's a pleasant, a good addition to the town and it works,
It is.
we'd certainly take a look at it, okay?
We'll do that.
All right.
Thank you very much, you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Okay, we have nothing on the agenda for possible approval. Anything else in old business, Carol? Okay. Communications and bills? No? Informal discussion we had, we put that in, okay. Next meeting date is December 7th, 2022. We have 2 public hearings scheduled. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
No, we,
Chairman.
Do the staff report.
we got
Oh,
a staff.
staff, I'm sorry, Mark?
That's okay.
You want to skip the staff report?
Well, I'm happy
Okay,
to pass.
staff report.
I'm happy to pass on most of it, but I wouldn't be doing my due diligence. Sorry, just, okay, so in terms of the zoning regulation revisions, just to report, the subcommittee has met twice in the last month or 6 weeks, and I think we've made some very good progress. I think that the subcommittee has, when staff and the land use consultant were looking at the regulations, our eyes were open to the many inconsistencies, obstacles, I won't say misinformation, but obstacles to development or to orderly development that occur in the zoning regulations. And I think the subcommittee has seen that, and so we're proceeding, I think, at a fairly good pace to move our way through the regulations, through the revisions. So we're meeting for the 3rd time next week. And if we're able to keep that pace, I think we would get through them in another meeting or 2 or 3 and be able to bring that document to the commission for review, questions, et cetera. So I just wanted to report that, and please feel free if the other members want to weigh
Dan, you
in
have
on that.
anything to say on that?
Nope.
Nothing? I think Dan's been working very hard on this, along with Mark and myself, and it's.
Absolutely.
It's quite a task, guys.
It is quite a task.
And it's going to be interesting, because we have these charts you're going to be able to look at, and we have a hodgepodge of regulations that need to be addressed. So it's a lot of work to do down the road also. Okay.
As per the commission's guidance, I'm reviewing and will issue permits for the subsequent bed and breakfast applications. There was one that was before the commission, and there was one or two that were pending. So I will review them and work on those administratively, issue them administratively on behalf of the commission. Food trucks, I just carry on the agenda. It's certainly not a hot topic right now as the season is winding down, but I certainly will bring this up in the next month or two, and over the winter, maybe we could work on that and craft something to the commission's satisfaction. The affordable alternative housing plan, a little bit stalled because of the other items on the other items that we've been working on, and I haven't talked to the chairman yet, but I'm going to suggest that we ask for an additional extension of time in order to, complete that process. So that involves completing the edits to the document, meeting with the Affordable Housing Working Group that would weigh in, and then having the commission and ultimately the town council weigh in on that document as well. Probably most important, I just wanted to bring, just again to your attention and see if what the discussion may be regarding accessory dwelling units and the revised statutes. So back in July, I gave you a synopsis, analysis of that, of those statutes, which are due to take effect on January 1st. And individual municipalities have kind of three options. One is to accept the upcoming statutes as the legislature has written them. The second is to opt out and to rewrite them to the commission's liking. Actually, those are the two options. So there's certainly been a lot of discussion about them, and I think that across the state, some towns have just accepted them and will let them take effect. Others have opted out and plan to rewrite them. This commission seems to, from my understanding, seems to be okay with the adoption of them as they stand. But since the time is running down to take any action, and at Acting Chairman Ray's advice, I redistributed that document and just want to confirm, our direction one way or the other with regards to those statutes.
What's our deadline date?
I'm sorry?
What's our deadline date? January 1st.
January 1st.
So, Mark, I was under the understanding there were actually three choices that we had. We either accept the legislation guidelines that they just wrote. Number two, if we don't accept that, we can either change our existing guidelines for affordable housing, or the third one is just completely opting out and not having it at all. and not having to worry about changing it. So the third would be, from what I understand, is a complete opt-out. But from what I also understand is we already have affordable housing in Watertown to begin with. So it's either, so opting out probably wouldn't be a choice. So that would leave us with two choices. It's either accept the legislation, affordable housing, or make some changes ourselves to what they have.
Even if we, even if each municipality, whether you opt out or opt in, has to revise its regulations at any rate to be in conformity with the new state regs. So honestly, to me, it's like, do you opt out and rewrite them now, or do you opt in and write them after the fact, just using those guidelines? So
like a winner.
it has to be done at any rate. There's no just leaving them alone. If any commission opts in, it still has to rewrite its regulations to be in conformance with the new regulations that are going to take place on January 1st. I guess the key is, and there's that section, let me see. There's 4 or 5 standards that you would rewrite the regulations around. Of course, where are they now? Sorry, of course, trying to find them when I just underlined them before. One of them is that it removes the restriction for owner occupancy of the accessory dwelling unit. One of them is an increase in the size of the accessory dwelling unit from 750 square feet to 1,000 square feet. Another one would remove the restriction in Watertown's case of a minimum size of 6 acres to have a freestanding accessory dwelling unit. Right now, Watertown requires that they be attached. Under the new regulations, you could have a detached accessory dwelling unit, and it would remove the 6-acre minimum requirement. So in effect, that could occur on potentially any lot, as long as it meets setbacks and sanitary requirements. Now, the commission can also, and this can be done after the fact, write standards that help to preserve the kind of the residential character of the neighborhood, actually going to architectural standards.
Right.
As we've talked informally, the commission has the ability to write those sorts of of standards into the regulation.
Right, that would be opt out but add, right?
It would
Essentially
be,
modified,
yes.
right, right. You know, what we'll do is, I just checked my calendar, I'm gonna be here next meeting, December 7th. I thought I wasn't gonna be, but I think that we'll take this up for discussion. I would like, everybody's got this, this accessory dwelling unit information from Mark, to review it, and we'll discuss it at the next meeting. We'll talk about it, and we'll come up, we'll make our decision, if we can, the next meeting. That'll be before January 1st.
I have a couple of questions. Through the chair. Mark, can you have multiple ADUs in one dwelling? Like if you wanted to do one within your home and then do one in your garage? I mean, essentially, you could create a multifamily home by using, I didn't see a limit. I just, ADUs allowed by default. If you go to the next sentence, it says accessory apartments. It says it's plural. So my fear is you could take a large home, break it up into a bunch of ADUs and rent them out, and you don't have to live there.
There's no limit on how many accessory dwellings.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay, so just something to look into. I didn't see a limit on it, and that was one of the things that made
That's,
me
very-
nervous.
Very good point.
I suppose the criticism of the state regulation is that they they leave some questions
Sure.
open in terms of some of those ideas. And again, if you rewrite the regulations and you write them more restrictively beforehand, it seems to, or whether you do it after the fact, when they've gone into effect, and the regulation says the town must write regulations that meet these standards. If you write a regulation that's ultimately found to be more restrictive beforehand or after the fact, I don't know what the difference is in terms of, being subject to appeal. So again, and in speaking with other municipalities, that same question seems to be, out there. Those are good
All right.
questions.
So another question I had was 35.22, each dwelling shall meet the minimum setback and bulk requirements of the district. Separating distance between dwellings shall be a minimum of 100 feet, but with this, it would change. The separation distance of 100 feet would be eliminated. So from the house to the accessory dwelling, there would be no limit on where that needs to be, as long as it meets the setbacks of the
Correct.
property.
That's
So
correct.
it could be like a foot apart or whatever.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
And I think in most cases, that might be desirable because it could look like say, a garage.
Right, sure.
And it doesn't have to be attached. It
Yep.
could be detached from the.
My fear goes back to if multiple are allowed, now you could start scattering one after the other at 1,000 feet apiece.
This is going to be a boon to construction. Everybody's going to be building accessory units to their homes.
Most of the, in Watertown, most of the activity is within units, creating ADUs within single-family houses.
Right.
It's no, in my opinion, it's no small feat to create a second structure. In other words, I'm saying it's fairly expensive to create a second structure on a lot.
Yep.
And I think that the fears of, notwithstanding your question, Dan, but the fears of multiple units being, freestanding units being built, on a single-family house, again, that's not an inexpensive thing, and one has to meet setbacks, and I personally just don't see I don't see it triggering a lot of that kind of activity.
Okay.
You get some creative people with the pre-made garages, just start dropping pre-made
Yeah.
garages and
No,
build out the interior.
there may be, and there certainly may be folks that try to get around it, but
Sure.
my sense is that as long as we don't, as long as the commission doesn't impinge on the new regulations, I think you're free to write some of those restrictions in.
All right.
And again, I've spoken to a fair number of people, and there's no real clear consensus, right? People the municipalities are all over the board. Some are like, sure, we're opting in. They see no problem. And I guess it's what it is. It's unique and specific to each town. So maybe in a larger city, Waterbury, Danbury, they may see some scenarios that cause alarm. But again, I'm expressing partially my opinion. I don't see a lot of cause for alarm in Watertown. I just don't see all of a sudden a huge building boom of ADUs. And as a matter of fact, I think that, it could be beneficial because now I really struggle sometimes when people come in and they want to create an in-law, what they would call an in-law apartment, where they'd want to create they have a detached garage and they have a bonus room above it. and they want to create an apartment above there. It's very, very difficult to do that right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's detrimental to the town, and I think it's detrimental to the state because it overly restricts, development of alternative housing.
Yep.
But, again, we throw it to you folks because you're the decision makers, and I just want you to understand, what it is going on.
I know the previous commission was, years ago, the commission, 15 years ago, the commission was always liberal in terms of allowing in-law apartments and things like that. Never denied anybody's use to do that.
Right,
In
well,
fact, half of Oakville's probably got in-law apartments.
throughout the state, and that's part of the criticism of the shortage of housing, in the state is everybody is kind of forced into the single-family dwelling mode, and there's not a lot of allowance for softening and for allowing some alternative housing. Funny enough, it does happen in cases, and I worked previously in Southbury, and there's those really big old houses on Main Street North, and in some cases, they allowed accessory apartments to allow folks to hang on to those houses, to allow the owners to continue to live in those houses, but to be able to generate some additional income so that they can do that, because as we all know, maintaining a single-family house is a huge and expensive undertaking. So it works, to the advantage of both parties.
It'll help some senior citizens stay in their home.
Yeah.
Exactly, there's a lot of, right. I do have to caution, though, that time is getting short, so to opt out is a two-step process. It's the commission setting a public hearing and opting out, and then having the town council, do the same. So I hate to, put pressure on you guys right now, but
When's
time
the
is
next town council
getting
meeting? When do
short.
they meet?
I'm sorry?
When do they meet? When does the town council meet?
They meet twice a month.
Second, probably the second and the fourth.
Second and fourth Mondays.
Okay,
Right here, I could have answered that for you.
all right. Well, how much time does the town council meet
For what?
to make a decision on this?
I
We are now.
think it's a.
Just do it, whatever this commission recommends. So-
Sure.
Right, okay.
Excuse me, through the chair, Mark, could we ask the consultant to guide us on that, on how other states or towns are doing it, and give us recommendations on the ADUs?
Sure.
And then maybe those recommendations we could present to the commission and see if they like them? Maybe we could get all that homework done with the consultant and present something to see if the commission likes it.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to adjourn carries.